Hey, business building warrior, it's your friend Jim. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Today I've got a guest, Sheryl Marcinek, and she is from the Philippines originally, grew up in a culture where she worked even as a very young girl in her mom and dad's store. And all she knew growing up was working in that store. And then she was told, you better get an education. You better go to college because if you don't, there are no opportunities out there. Unfortunately, her family was able to send her only to a little bit of college, and then a typhoon took out the family business, and they thought that maybe that made for a pretty hopeless situation. But Cheryl didn't settle there. She now lives in Canada. She's running a very successful Amazon business, and as we talked, she's already put $2,500 in the bank in the first few days of March of 2020. She's got an incredible business that's exploding. We're talking to her about doing some other exciting things with us in our community because she's really creative and driven, positive. I think you're going to be encouraged by her spirit. She's got a story of overcoming a few challenges as she got started. She made a couple classic mistakes, but she is a proven Amazon course student. She loves the content. She loves this community, the people who listen to this show, many of whom hang out in our Facebook group, 56,000 member group. You can join, of course, anytime you'd like. It's a free opportunity for you to hang out with other business building warriors. SilentJim.com has the link that you'll need, SilentJim.com. And today's episode is one that I'm very excited for, especially young moms, maybe with some kids at home to hear. And just as you start to navigate through those early years of thinking, can I be with my kids and get an income rolling? Right? Those young families, they're trying to process, is this possible for us to be around our kids and make a nice living? Well, this is one of those episodes that's going to inspire you. So sit back, relax, enjoy. You're going to get some good, helpful tips. You're going to hear Cheryl's background and story, which I think is very inspirational because she had to overcome a lot. She's grateful to her mom and her parents that sacrificed so much so that she could have these entrepreneurial lessons at an early age. There's a lot to dig into in today's episode. So I'm going to get Cheryl on the line right now. You're going to enjoy this episode. So Cheryl, welcome to the show. So good to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Jim. I'm a little bit nervous because it's my first time. I never did any YouTube or anything, right?
Well, you're doing great. You're really doing great. I got a chance to see your warm-up video a little bit. We like to call guests beforehand, and Julie will touch base with them and do a little test video. Just very endearing, very infectious, happy person. And you're seeing some great results in your business too. And in Canada, which is really cool because Amazon caught on there a little slower than it did in the States. So a lot of different areas for us to dive into today. But I want to learn a little bit about you and maybe how you found this community. I don't know much of your story, to be honest with you. I'd love to learn more.
Yeah. Okay. So to tell you a bit about my background, like I think I wanna first introduce myself because
Please
for
do.
some people, like they might be like me, where you don't have much confidence in the beginning. So knowing my story would be maybe inspirational to other people because that's how I'm here right now by being inspired with the stories of people. So for me, I came from a very small town from Philippines. So it's like 30,000 people, and up to now there's no restaurants that's like a fast food chain, McDonald's or whatever. So it's a very small town, and I grew up where most people in that town are either farmer or business person, or there's only few I know growing up who's like going in the city and working. But I grew up in a family where my parents are basically business owners, right? So we have a small store, and then just like what I'm doing now, actually, like we sell anything but in a store, right? For that town. And
Understood.
yeah, growing up, I really hate it because everything I do, like I want to go out. My mom says, no, you can't because you need to be in the store. So
Wow. So you
um,
worked. How old would you have been at that time when you have memories of working in the store?
I think starting like since I have a memory, I already have memory of being in the store all the time until I grew up.
Wow.
university, we have the store. That's what feed us, right? And growing up, there's three. I have three sisters and one brother, but the three sisters were always in the store all the time. Comes Christmas time, my mom would sell toys, and then we would be there. We need to be the one who's holding the money, because like to make sure that nobody's stealing or something. Because in Philippines, it's kind of like that. Like people are poor that sometimes like they want to have a little bit of something, right? So my mom only trusts us, so we need to be there no matter what. Christmas, big events, we need to be there, right? So I hate, but I realize that's what I do now. And now, like, I thank my mom. My mom passed away like 2 years ago, and I said to myself, "Oh my God! Like my mom prepared me for everything from doing the boxes. I take
Right.
boxes. I learned it from what she taught me,
That's
right?
incredible.
Like
And at some point, I imagine it occurred to you that she was doing that for us, right? Like as a kid, you
yeah,
don't necessarily think that way. When did that kind of occur to you? Do you remember by any chance?
just now that I'm doing Amazon, I'm realizing like I always tell myself almost every day. I said, I wish my mom is alive that I can thank her
Mm,
for everything she did for me. I never understood before when I was growing up, but now I realize every single thing she is doing is training me for this, for the future, right? So, for people with kids, I think that's a good way. Like now that I have also young kids, I have like, 5 and 8 years old. I feel like, I want them to be a part of this business, because that's what I learned. Even if I hated as a kid, now like I'm so thankful that I know it since the beginning, right?
that's
So
incredible. Yeah. And, we don't point that benefit out as often as we probably should on this show.
mm,
But now that I've been doing this for 20 years and I've got kids moving out of the house with this entrepreneurial spirit, one of which launched his own internet based business, is doing extremely well. Man, that is a powerful gift to give your kids, having them be around entrepreneurship. Now, doing it from, a very impoverished nation, and
mhm,
kind of like the store being your second home, I don't know that I would necessarily wish that on somebody, although the circumstances your mom had to work with, it sounds like she did amazing, because I know there's not a lot of opportunity in the Philippines, and
yes,
and she found a way. So that's hero level status in my book. But
yes,
here we are, in Canada, United States, the westernized world, with opportunity all around us. We have a chance to launch a business from home and have our kids see those lessons and benefit all the positives of what you experienced as a kid, without some of the negatives, because we're in wealthy nations now. Yeah, that's a great gift to give your kids. So
yeah.
kudos to you to having a business at home, and your 5 year old, your 8 year old can kind of see they're picking up on more of it than I think you realize right now. And I say that as a dad of, some early 20s and late teens. They pick up on a lot of this. And there's so many great lessons in entrepreneurship. So even if you're breaking even running a business from home, a little side thing, your kids are going to pick up some incredibly valuable life lessons about work and reward and delayed gratification, right? Like, that lesson that was built into
Yeah.
you young. And that's a
Yes.
powerful gift to give your kids, right? So cool. I love your story so far. I had no idea. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's really like a gift that like I that's what I realized, that it was a gift that my mom gave me, which I never knew, right? So anyways, with continuing with my story, so in like when I was 21, I went to Canada, and basically I applied on a Canadian program, and I became a nanny. And I don't didn't have good experience, but it helped me to strive for myself. So on the weekend when I was working, I would go to school. So I said to myself, I cannot just be like this forever, and I need to do something to improve myself. And so I went back to school, and I became a medical manager. Like I ran an office of a family doctor for a while. And 2010, I'm I my then boyfriend, now husband, we decided to travel the world. So sell everything and travel the world. I was young, right? So I said, okay, like I want to experience it. For the longest time, I've been helping my family, sending money at home and stuff like that. And I said, okay, time to also explore the world for myself. So we went back to Philippines, we got married, And then when we're running out of money, we found this opportunity that you can teach English in China, and it was a very lucrative, you know, um, em- employment, because like, 2 months off on winter, 2 months off in summer, and it's all paid, right? So by the time I end up having kids, and my husband was the one who's teaching and I stay home, so we prefer to stay in China because I want to take care of my kids. So for us, family is very important. So I said, my kids are young, I want to stay. But then 2011, 2017, we decided it's time to come back to go back to Canada. So when we were deciding to go back, I start looking for opportunity. I said I really want to stay home because my son is just like 3 years old. So I said I cannot, like, I cannot comprehend on how people, like, I'm so amazed with people who have, like, both of them are working, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it. So I said I need to find something. So I start, watching YouTube. I'm a YouTube girl, so watching videos like success, like how to work online. And guess what? There is this one I already forgot, but I came to this video and it keeps on saying about pack. And she's like, "Oh, did you do the pack test?" And I said, "What pack is that? What is this pack?" So I researched on it, right? So I,
Yeah,
I researched on this pack, and it went to a forum talking about you. And he said, like, "Oh, if you want to do Amazon," so apparently it's about Amazon. If you want to do Amazon, you know you check out Jim Cockrum. He's a very reputable teacher, and he's really good and stuff. So I searched for Jim Cockrum. So who is this guy, right? And I came to your Facebook. I became a member, and after I bought your course, and I said, okay, this is the way to go, right? So I love the community, the Facebook community, that it encouraged me to buy the course. And after I bought the course, I remember December 4th, 2017, 1 week after buying, Lisa and Gail was so helpful, and they always encourage, just jump and buy, and try, right? So 1 week after, I decided to buy something just to sell, like just to try. I want to test, right? And from there it snowballed. So comes January and February, we were traveling because we were still in China, so I didn't send anything. And March, that's the time that I think I start to try. So in the beginning, I tried online arbitrage because I was in China. And well, I learned lessons. Like, number one, I I bought very expensive things, right? I bought this,
sure.
like, cricket machine for like $129, hoping that I'm gonna make like 250 or something. And it gave me a very big lesson because right away, like, there's a return, right? So I lost money, but it didn't discourage me. In my
Oh,
mind,
good
I'm
for you.
thinking, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm gonna go to an MBA, it will cost me 30 grand, okay? And if this is like an MBA, right? Business master's degree. And this one, I can do it right away. I'm practicing and I'm using the money. If I'm gonna go for MBA, it will take me 4 years, right? So I said, okay, like, even if I lose money, I don't care. At least I'm learning. So that's my thinking.
I love it. Let me fill in a few gaps for the listeners here. I like to try to listen sometimes as a new listener. Maybe this is the
Mm.
first episode, and I'm loving your story. So save your place mentally. Be ready to continue in just a moment.
Yes.
But a couple observations. You mentioned a few names: Lisa, Gail. We have a bunch of moderators who are on our team, many of which are actually coaches for our organization. We have multiple coaches at jimcockramcoaching.com, but they spend their spare time when they have it in our 56,000 member Facebook group that you mentioned. And if listeners want to join that group, they can go to silentjim.com, and it's free. Jump in there like Cheryl did, and you'll get to hang out, ask your Amazon or online business building questions. And you mentioned the pack, but we haven't said what that is yet. That's, of course, the Proven Amazon course, which most listeners to this show will know exactly what that is. But there'll be a good handful of people who will say, ah, that's what she meant. PAC. Okay. And that acronym has become known in the industry because it's helped more people launch a successful Amazon business. We've sold more of that course than any other course in the industry with more success stories than anyone. So it's kind of an acronym that a lot of people in the Amazon universe already know, the PAC. So thanks for mentioning that. We'll just say today's episode sponsored by the PAC. How about that? And
Yes.
appreciate you mentioning that. And I'm eager to hear your story from here. It sounds like you were bouncing back and forth from Canada to China a little bit, trying to build your business doing online sourcing strategies. You made a couple big purchases that you kind of regretted because you got to return. So you're learning your lessons. Let's get back into the story.
Yeah, so in like we're planning to go back because my mother-in-law got sick that time. So we cut short our trip and we were planning to go back, I think May instead of July. And what happened is that I get too excited, right? So I'm learning already about, PPC and stuff. And I said, oh my goodness, there's so many things in China because, I'm also an online buyer in China, and in China, like so many really good things to sell. Like I start buying this like pens for like 10 cents, and then I start bundling them, right? And I ship it to my prep center in US. So what I did is that, okay, I'm gonna try bundling and see if I can sell. One thing that I learned on during on that transaction is that I got I think I bought so much and I didn't learn enough yet that I sold everything, but I barely made money because I spent so much money with PPC, right? But actually that one I'm still planning to, I think later on, use it for private label because a lot of them, like I have a lot of data like with the PPC, like that works, like the keywords that works before. So I want to work slowly and one by one, because what I did is I think I bought like 24 items and sent it at once, and then I'm working with 24 products, right? So it got out of hand. So I'm losing money. I don't have much money to roll and stuff. So after that, like, so we went back, and then I'm saying, oh, it's not working too much. So what I did is when we went back, I decided to work in a grocery store, making $14.50, an hour. And meanwhile, my kid at home is crying because, he missed the mommy, miss mommy, right? So one day, like after 3 months, I think, of working as in a bakery, I was like, one day somebody phoned me, like my mother-in-law, saying, oh, he can't stop crying, what are you gonna do? So I was like crying hard and thinking, you know it breaks my heart, right, that my son like needs the mommy and I'm not there for him. So one girl mentioned, why don't you study? Because here in Canada, you can do some sort of loan for studying also. And some, if you're low income person, some of it are grant and some are for tuition fee. So my mind thinking, okay, maybe I'm gonna do that. Like I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna get the money, I'll use the money as a capital to start my Amazon and build business. So that's what I did. That's why I told you before, I think I mentioned that I went back to school because my purpose is to have some sort of capital in order for me to start Amazon. That's my goal. So whatever money they gave me, I bought it with inventory. So I need to be creative because the money that we made from China, like all the savings, we use it to start our life here in Canada, right? Buy a car, rental property, like, and start food while we don't have jobs and everything. So I said, okay, what money can I do, right? I also use credit cards, to be honest. Like, I guess, I want to take the risk because there's nothing to lose. Either, my kid will be crying all the time and we're going to grow up without me, or I'm going to make it work and I'm going to stay home. So that's the plan that we did. So, I was so surprised. So August, when I got the money, I start to buy a little bit, and then August 2018, um, I start to get traction. So I was in the group and someone says, like that time I'm still selling in US, right? So someone in the group named Kenny Cure posted, and he posted, I don't everyone knows about it in the group, right? That he said like, oh, I made this much amount of money in Canada. And I'm thinking, wow, Canada. Many people say Canada is dead, nothing there, like so slow and stuff. But in my mind again, I said, well, if he can do it, that means I can do it too, right? So I decided to, you know, make a different plan. I said, I'm going to stop US because it's not really working too much. And I'm going to focus my money in Canada and see what happens.
So
So
up until that time, you were using a prep center in the United
yes,
States, right? And I want to explain
yes,
to new listeners what that is real quick for those who don't know. Like you were living in China selling product in the US. So you can't send it straight to Amazon. You send it to a prep center, a prep partner. We have many of those in our community. We'll stick a link in the show notes to our prep network. So you can go, it's a free list, freely available to anyone. And it's people who are willing to receive your inventory for you. So you can buy product in another country, have it shipped to a prep partner in that same country, and have them send it to Amazon for you. It's a beautiful arrangement. You were taking advantage of that, but you were selling in the US, which is a much bigger market. But I love where this story is going because we have a lot of Canadian students of the Proven Amazon course. And a lot of them are kind of thinking, oh, I should be playing in the US. Well, you've got a lot of advantages if you're in Canada to sell in Canada. And that's where your story's heading. I know that. But I didn't realize that you had transitioned from selling in the US to selling in Canada. That's
yeah.
exciting. I love hearing that. So please continue.
So in August, I said, okay, I'm gonna change my plan. So I made a simple goal. Like this year, like starting August, I'm gonna do like just, you know, make quick flip. Basically, like I will find product that would flip fast. I want to make 20%, at least 20% ROI. So with me, I make simple goals because I don't want to make it complicated and then you get overwhelmed. So what I did is like, okay, so if I want to make, so I have this crazy goal of $65,000 in a year. So that means I need to sell like $400,000 with, and then divide it into days, right? So basically, it comes down to I need to send 320 units, selling at least $24 in order for me to be on that, you know, to have that goal. So I do, because, you know, if you go by day, it's easier, right? Oh, you know, how many 20 sales or 50 sales in a day is not as bad as thinking like, oh my God, I need to make this too much, like planning and prepping. So that's what I did. I said, okay, at least I will make $2. I will, you know, flip it fast as much as possible. No prepping. I don't want prepping. I don't want anything. It's like once I buy it, I send, and then I will make money. That's the simplest plan I come up with. And I was so surprised. So the first month, I made like around $400, and you know, every day, like I'm looking for new products. So the way I did it is like your advice, where inch deep, mile wide, right? So you know, small, like only one, two, or three. Which up to now, that's my principle. Like even if the business is growing, I don't buy anything that I will buy like 10 right away. I always start with, even sometimes I even buy one if it's too expensive. Like for example, I also said, okay, I cannot buy more than $10. I need to buy only five so I can spend my money more. That's what I did. And I was so surprised. Every single month I'm growing $1,000 to $3,000 in sales. Like like um I said, wow, this is amazing. Like I never had business like this before, right? Finally, something's working. So my sister got inspired. She lent me money, right? Like, because she see that it's working. So, you know, I don't drive gym, okay? Like I lost my license when we moved to China. So I need to do all the tests again. So what we did is my husband used to work full time. And then we said, okay, why don't you teach online again as an English teacher? So he would wake up 5 in the morning until 10 teaching online English so we can have some sort of money to pay for rent or some extra money. And then from 10 until, you know, afternoon. So usually we finish our time around 2 or 3 o'clock because kids needs to be picked up at 3:30. He's gonna drive me around to source or help me pack, right? And then at
Wow.
Yeah, at
That's
nighttime.
teamwork. I love it. That's a great story. That's a great part of the story. So you guys really were in the trenches hitting this hard.
Yes, I'm so lucky that I have a very supportive husband who's also in the same page as me. So with at nighttime, he would sleep earlier because he needs to wake up early for work. So I'm the one who's gonna stay late, like 9 o'clock until 12. Sometimes even I stay one, to be honest. If I really want to pack and send it the morning after. So I would prep at night. We buy in the daytime. So that's our, that's what we do for a year. Just like buy, prep, send and make money, make money. So in December, like this December, we made a profit of $7,000. And my only, like, looking back before, when people post say, "Oh, I'm making 20,000," I always say, "Oh, I wonder when is the time for me," right? Because I never thought it would be that quick. Like, really, to be honest, up to now, I'm in awe of this business on how it turned out. So December, we managed to make $45,000 in sales with 7,000 profit. And I was so impressed that I said to my husband, "Okay, comes February, maybe we can try." So just this February, let's try that you won't work anymore. Instead, we're gonna source and source, and at nighttime, you're gonna help me pack so we can send. And guess what? It's
How,
amazing.
how's
Like,
it going? Because I mean, we're talking just the past 6 weeks or so.
yeah. So I found, so I said to this year, I made another goal that this year is going to be, I want to reintroduce myself to, like, the business to US. I want to open US again. But this time, uh, I'm focusing on Canadian products that I can send to US. So here in Canada, I live in Mississauga, and it's close to, it's called cross border pickup. So I asked about this in the group, and they gave me information. I think yeah, I think I got it from your group. Where I can send. So basically, I prep it here, I buy it here, I prep it here, I send it to a company called Cross Border Pickup. They send it, cross it to the border basically, and then ship it from the border UPS to Amazon. So basically, I prep everything and they cross it for me, and I pay them money. So there's something like that here. So I'm so surprised that for just US alone, so I found two brands that's really working well. One brand is like they have different how do you call that, like products. So it's the same type of product but just different variety. And in the first month, I sold $4,000, and I was like, wow, and like 300% profit. So I was like, okay, so this is working. So I decided to look for more, dig for more. Now this just this February, I found another brand that have thousands of products, and we're just like barely making it, like just few items that I'm sending. And so far, today I already made so March, right now I already made $6,000, like just this March. So last February, so basically US December we made 3K, January we made 5K, and then February we made 10K, and this month it's already 6K with just like what's right now
Today's
12.
the 13th, 12th, 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So, and that's
25%
what you're putting
profit.
in. That's your profit, is what you're calling it. Like that. That's your earnings after all your expenses.
That's the sale, so earning is
Okay.
25, but this one
25.
is actually even testing because I'm not buying a lot yet. I'm sending, so last week I send 10 pieces of this, and it runs out. So this week we focus on US and send like 20 pieces of each, right?
Wow. So
This week.
what do you project? Like, what's your realistic goal for 2020? Now that we're coming up on 3 months in.
Yeah. Well, before, my goal is to just have 10K a month in profit. But now, like this month, I saw that I'm projecting is going to be 7K. So I think, it's not too, I maybe in 6 months time, or few months time I can reach it. So maybe I would push it to 12K profit, right?
That's beautiful, or beyond. Yeah, you're on a great path, and there's as great a job as you're doing, and you're on such a great path. There are a few new things for you to learn for sure on sourcing and relationships and
Yeah,
partnering, and yeah, you've laid a beautiful foundation. And the future
yeah,
is very bright, and I love that you guys are doing this business together now, and this is how you guys are managing your schedule and your family and paying the bills. It's pretty
yeah,
amazing. These
yeah.
stories just they inspire me with your beautiful young family. Um, just congratulations.
Yeah, and we're planning to move to a house. It's still a rental because Canada have really expensive housing now. So, but we're moving to a house, which is like that's my daughter's dream, right? Being 2 years from coming back to Canada, I can manage to give her a house where what she wants, right? And that's amazing.
It's so great. I love it. Well, while you maybe think of a few tips that you might give some new listeners or people who are out there wondering, could I do this? I want you to talk to them in just a minute, but I want to point out a couple things that stood out to me as I was listening to your story, and I just enjoy listening to these stories. I could do this all day. I love that I get to do this for a living. Sometimes I'm
Yes,
just like,
you're lucky.
wow, I'm so blessed just to hear these determined business building warriors out there doing it, making it happen, destroying other people's excuses, right? You're inspiring more people than you realize. But a couple things jumped out at me. Again, listening from the vantage point of maybe a new listener who's out there today. First comment is you mentioned using PPC. I want to explain what that is. That's pay per click. On Amazon, you can pay to get additional eyeballs to your listings. Now, Amazon's going to charge you money to do that, and you can end up losing money on what would have otherwise been possibly profitable products. The strategies we teach in the Proven Amazon course, which we've already discussed a little bit, don't include needing PPC to help you sell more items. If you listen to past episodes of this show, you'll hear us use PPC as an investigation tool, as a way to find gaps in the marketplace, but almost never as a way to help you sell more of your inventory. Because from our vantage point, you make your money when you buy your inventory, not by creatively marketing your way out of a hole you've dug using advertising like PPC. So if you buy the right product, you don't need PPC as a general rule, especially for new sellers. And something else you said too, I'm always sensitive to this because I get occasionally people will say something to us when they hear our episodes, like, "Well, do you think that everybody should work from home and raise their kids and homeschool?" And like, no, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I love the benefits of that. So there's plenty of moms and dads out there that getting up, going to work, man. Good job doing what you got to do to take care of your family. And I've said before, Cheryl, if I had to go to Taco Bell and work 14-hour days to feed my family, I'd be the best employee they've ever had. But we've got other options.
Yes.
Thankfully, thank God, we've got other options. And this is the best one on the horizon. And to see a young couple like you guys saying, you know what, we want to be home more with our kids. We want a flexible lifestyle. We want to build something together. And using this opportunity to make that happen, it's a it's a thing of beauty. But I don't want to say that at the expense of making someone feel bad if that's not the season of life they're in right now. Maybe they just want to see this as a little side thing and they don't have such high aspirations. But I think what'll happen is you'll get a little taste of it. You'll put an extra $500 in the bank one month, and then an extra 1,500 the next month, and then you start doing the math, thinking, if I had a little more time in the day, I could get this to 5,000, 10,000, or more a month in the bank. That could replace what we're doing, and that could be just the beginning, because we all know there's numbers far bigger than that in our community as well. But I love these real raw stories like yours, um, of people talking through those first, year, 2, 3 years of plowing into this and figuring it out. So thank you, Cheryl. I loved your story. And imagine you're going to have some people asking you some questions in the Facebook group too. So you'll be around in there, right? If people have questions
Yes.
for you.
Yeah,
But
I really did this because I want to also give back to the community, because in the beginning this, like, your community is the one that keeps me going, right? Like when I was new, I also really like hold on to those, testaments of people like that. Oh, I did this and I did that, and it keeps me going to say like, oh, if they can do that, these are real people, and then I
That's
can
right.
do it too, right? So, for me, like this way of, I agree to this because I want people to know my story in order for them to get inspired too, that, there's really nothing impossible in this world, right? Like if you want it, you just take action, it's gonna happen. That's me.
Yeah, we really have an incredible opportunity here, and people can get tired of me talking about it. So we bring in other people every day, real world people who are doing life and raising kids, and they have a marriage and they have surprises and plans and health challenges, and car breaks down when it shouldn't. But this is how they're paying the bills. This is how they're navigating life, and it can grow into so much more than that. And yeah, the community is simply incredible. If there's people listening to this podcast right now who aren't a part of our Facebook group, we've had many people get into Facebook just for this community. It's worth it. It's an incredible, uplifting community. There's nothing like internet-based business building warriors, man. We're a tribe, we're a team. We root for the new guy. We're there to pick you up when you fall down. When you make a mistake, we're not going to kick you. We're going to encourage you and say, hey, here's where you went wrong. Here's how you can do better next time. And it's just not a complex business model, is it? I mean,
Yeah,
it has, there's a learning curve there, but it's just not complicated.
I
Well,
think
what tips would you have, and what strategies might you share with those maybe who are new, or maybe they're not sure if this is for them? Just talk to that part of the audience a little bit, if you don't mind.
yeah. There's several people who reached out to me when I posted something there, like in the group, and always the something that I always advise them for the beginners is like, go to one store at a time, because that's what I did when I was new. Because it can, a lot of people complain about, oh, so much things to do, like you need to scan too much. So what I did is like I choose one store and I don't go to any other store unless I finish scanning that store. So sometimes my husband would leave me there for 3 hours and one aisle at a time, right? So if it means like it took me a month to finish that store to scan all the aisle, so be it, right? But with that way, you always find a replenishable, because you don't miss anything, right? So I would suggest, like, for beginners, do something like that. Number one is like go to a store, like pick a store you want and go through all their products like one by one, and then sooner or later you're gonna find something. uh I think 2 weeks ago someone messaged me, like somebody who asked me before, said, oh, it's working now. Like he showed me like his screenshot of the money that he's starting to make, and I said I'm happy for you, because I'm glad that I can help you in that way, right? That he said I start to find replenishable, and I said I'm so glad. So number two is don't buy like any software in the beginning, because it can, if you don't have much money to invest, I think it can just cost you money, right? So
That's a
go
great
for,
tip. Yeah, you can
yeah,
get buried in tools and all these
yes,
different things that people tell you. No, you don't need anything except the Amazon Seller app. It's
yeah,
and that's free. Um, you can
and
even use the Amazon Buy app, like the Amazon Shopper app, and see what price something's selling for compared to what you see it on the shelf, and you can do the math in your head.
yeah.
If it's $10 on the shelf and it's selling for $30 on Amazon, yeah, you're going to make some money there, right?
Yeah, and with me, I only have it actually Keepa and seller board. Seller board, because my business is big, that I want to make sure that I'm making money, and
Yes.
Keepa because I don't go by, honestly, I don't go by rank, because here in Canada, Keepa is not as good as US. So sometimes, like for example, I have a product that's selling like 60 a month, but in Keepa it says only 10 or 3.
Hmm.
So,
It's not as accurate.
yeah, I always test. Like even if,
Hmm.
like, one thing that amazing in Canada is there's so many products I have right now that I'm the only prime seller. And it's because I test them. No, but like it's ranked like million, right? Before, because somebody tried to sell it. For as
Right.
long as I can find a listing, I would buy it, test one or two, and then it's surprising. Some won't take off, but a lot of times it will sell no matter what. So That's something like, so I go for with Keepa all the time. So Keepa and Seller Board, and of course Pack, buy Pack, because everything there, like if you want to, grow and stuff, like, it's so cheap, to be honest, right?
Well, hey, you mentioned a couple tools. I want to tell people what the Keepa. It's just KEEPA is that tool. It's a great tool, and we have no affiliate relationship with them. They're not a sponsor of the show. It's a good tool, and it tells you the price history and the volume of. They really scrape a lot of data off of Amazon in a pretty creative way, and there's not really other tools out there that do what they do. And you mentioned Seller Board. I'll stick a link in the show notes. So I'm going from memory here. I'm pretty sure if you go to silentgym.com/numbers, numbers, silentgym.com/numbers, that takes you to a training we did with Seller Board, and it shows you their tool. You can check it out because, like Cheryl just mentioned, knowing if you're profitable or not is a big deal. And there's fees in there, and they help you calculate your returns and the true cost of your returns. Really helps you stay on top of what items you're selling are making you money and which ones aren't, because that can get a little tricky when you're managing a bunch of products. So great job there. I'm curious, Cheryl, have you been through the replens training inside the
um
Proven Amazon course yet?
no, not yet, actually, not
Because you
yet.
mentioned scanning and you mentioned replens. Now, when you're scanning barcodes, that's a beautiful thing, and you can find a lot of great deals that way. And you've built your business to this point that way. But with replens, there's no barcode scanning involved.
So is it reverse sourcing?
Kind of. You need to go through that module.
Okay,
You
I
will
will.
be
Thanks
super
for helping.
excited. We have people doing, for example, Cheryl, we have people walking into retail stores now, just walking real slow with their cell phone and filming everything on the shelf, going back home, doing their replens research. Again, no barcode scanning needed, and finding ridiculous amounts of product. We've actually had, I think at this point, 13 or 14 people go through our private replens training where we actually get on an airplane, fly a team out, go to the store with you. That's our provenreplentraining.com. Every single one of those students is now just on fire finding replens. We find a guaranteed 50 while we're in town with you, and then your ability to
Wow.
find on demand, just go out and find a few new products anytime you want. It's pretty amazing.
I
And
think for people who have, money, I think it's the best investment ever, because, having somebody to come to your place and teach you is amazing.
Yeah, the next best thing though, well, we do have coaching, which is a little less expensive than flying someone to your town, jimcockramcoaching.com. But if you can't afford that, jump into our free Facebook group. Great people like Cheryl, 56,000 business building warriors from around the world, including Canada, and so many great people doing such great things online and willing to take time and help each other out. It's an incredible community. So, yeah, you've dropped some great tips and encouragement and inspiration for everyone today. This is a really fun interview. Any final thoughts as we start to wrap this one up, Cheryl? You did such a great job.
Well, I guess that's it. Like, just, change your mindset. Always think that you can do it, because with mindset, you can do anything, right? And keep on trying. Think that failure is a cheap way to learn, right? And inspire yourself every day. Listen to Jim's podcast, watch inspirational or success videos in YouTube with me when I'm prepping. I'm doing that. And it helps me to keep on going. And, set simple goals. Like, if you want to make $3,000 a month, then divided by 30, and you will make like 100 a day. Okay, so if make a profit of five, then you need to sell 20 items a day, and you're good to go, right? Easy. And I bet, like, in a year, like, you're gonna be surprised, right? Because just like me, I'm very much surprised of how this business is going. And I feel like in 2 years time, like, my goal of, like, now we're transitioning in wholesale, I know that I can do it, and private label. So
That's beautiful. Yeah, we have
yes.
tremendous content inside the Proven Amazon course on private label and wholesale. It's a very comprehensive course. Let me just make an observation, Cheryl, just kind of reviewing in my mind your story and having watched a lot of people stop where you chose not to stop. There's two things that stand out in your story, and I want to leave the listeners with this challenge. Early on, you got to a point where you purchased a few items and they were expensive items, and one of them got returned and you kind of lost money. That let's say 2 week period, you actually lost money, learned a tough lesson, a lot of people would have bailed out right then. And then you went and bought some products that weren't selling real well, and you started doing some paid advertising to help them sell, and they sold. But when you did the math, you had lost money again, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people would have bailed right then. And I'm sure there's other parts of your story where we could have thrown up those little roadblocks. To you, they were speed bumps. To other people with the wrong mindset, which you mentioned, they could have been mountains that were unclimbable. Like, well, I gave it a shot. I put 20 hours into this. I spent $200. I lost money. I'm out. But you didn't. You stuck with it. So, congratulations. And the lesson to the listeners is, man, if you stick with it, this is the best business opportunity in the world from my vantage point. I put my name and reputation behind that. I wrote a whole book, a best-selling book about it. I lead people to the conclusion, like, hey, if you look at the landscape of what's going on out there and you want to get into something, yeah, you're going to have to learn. Anything worth having takes some work, takes some time, but there's nothing like this out there. 50,000 people sold $500,000 or more in 2018. The 2019 numbers will be coming very soon, I'm sure, and those numbers will be even bigger. That's just in the United States. That's incredible. There's never been an opportunity like this before. So, congratulations sticking through those initial lessons, and congratulations on building a beautiful family on, like your mama taught you. Entrepreneurship is a good thing, and there's some great lessons in there. So, man, I'd love to meet you guys. Love to see you at our conference. You have
Yeah,
plans
we're
yet?
going.
You're going. Awesome.
Yes.
Theprovenconference.com in July in Florida. We're just talking about it as if it's 100% certain going to happen. The virus is going to be all gone by then. And we're going to be having a great time in Florida, July 21 to 23,
Yes.
2020, right? But our community loves getting together. We do all kinds of things. You got to get plugged into this community is the bottom line, right, Cheryl? Because there's just some really great people in here. And we are blessed to have attracted some incredible people like you and your beautiful family. Well, I just want to talk to the listeners for a second, tell them thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Thanks for spreading the word. To our awesome guest, Cheryl, who I shared the screen with today. She did such a good job. And it's hard for me to believe you've never done anything like this before because you did such a tremendous job. You need to do more of this because you've got an infectious energy, like I said. But to the listeners, thanks for hanging out. You know, we love doing this show. God bless all the business building warriors out there who listen every day. You will have another great episode for you, just like this one, real soon.